Today's video is sponsored by Forever Pick, exotic wood guitar picks. Handmade one at a time in Chicago, Illinois, you can choose from a selection of exotic woods that will actually improve your guitar's tone. Take advantage of an exclusive 25% off coupon when you buy the full 6-pack at the link in the description. And remember, when you support my sponsors, you support this channel, and I sure appreciate it.
Hey y'all, it's Shed Post Friday.
Excellent!
Hello boys and girls, Brad the Guitologist here. It's time for Shitpost Friday. I'd like to welcome all the new people to the channel. I've had quite a few new subscribers here lately, and in case you don't know what Shitpost Friday is, this is basically the trash heap of this channel. This is where I basically just throw all the useless, crappy ideas. As a matter of fact, this is going to be a completely crappy video. You should just go ahead and click off now. First to the news, it's been reported that Gibson has found its way out of Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Well, it actually is good news for a change. They have officially gotten rid of Henry Juszkiewicz. Also, the second in command, both have lost their shares in the company completely. That was one of the agreements of the deal. They will, however, depart with a consulting gig, which means basically they get to sit around and do nothing for 3 years, and they get to get paid for doing it, and they can't talk trash about Gibson for 3 years either. As part of this deal, the judge has allowed Gibson to go forward without having to honor any of their lawsuits. So if lawsuits were already pending against them, at least in the United States, I don't know how this is going to affect their Tronical debacle overseas, but I do know at least in the territory of the U.S., they should not be liable for that $60 million or whatever it was that they were being sued for by Tronical. Also, any other lawsuits that were brought against them, those will be pretty much void as well as part of this deal. Pretty sweetheart deal, really, and also, I guess, pretty standard for this type of thing. One of Gibson's lead creditors was KKR, and they are putting forward this guy, Nat Zilkha, I hope I'm saying that correctly, Nat Zilkha. At least this Bloomberg article and several other articles that I'm seeing here are touting his credentials as a musician. They're clearly trying to give the impression that this is not just going to be run by a bunch of sharks, that there are actual musicians at KKR who will be helping get Gibson back on track, and this is the guy they've kind of put forward in that sort of role to show that, oh, they're hip with the cool kids. Which, you know, I mean, I've actually tracked down a video of him playing just for the heck of it, because I was curious, and here's that. He's played guitar in a band called Red Rooster since 1998, I think I read somewhere, and so, you know, he's not a newcomer to music, and maybe his input will count for something, but I would be more interested in seeing the people who come into Gibson actually ask people in the influencers community on YouTube, and I'm not just saying that because I'm one of them. They can ask everybody but me for all I care. I honestly don't give a damn. But they need to ask people in the influencers community what was working for you and what was not working for you in the Gibson guitars that you showed off on your channels, because those are the people who are going to help you sell your guitars or are going to create the impression that you can't make guitars. So you know, you need to build bridges with these people. That's one thing Henry Juszkiewicz just never really did. He never understood clearly, and never took the time to even reach out and talk to any of us. So that would be the very first thing I would do, is reach out to the YouTube community, to the social media influencers, because these are the people, maybe even more so now than traditional media in magazines and so forth. These are the people who are going to either make or break your company as it tries to crawl out of this rut. But according to this Bloomberg article, the company will now exit bankruptcy with a completely new board of directors, the majority of whom will be guitar players. I mean, it does kind of beg the question, what qualifies as a guitar player, though, right? I mean, in a way, it's like, oh, did you ever pick up guitar in high school? Okay, well then you're a guitar player. You can be on the board. Can you show me an E note? Ding! Yes, you're a guitar player. Get on the board. But yeah, no, in all seriousness, at least they're trying to show that they care about the company. They want to bring it back and put it back on solid foundations, which really can only be good for Gibson. They couldn't have gone on much longer the way they were going. So I wish them all the best. Back in 2016, Led Zeppelin was on trial for their song Stairway to Heaven because they had reportedly ripped that song off from the band Spirit, with whom they had toured basically previous to 1971 when they released Stairway to Heaven. And there is another track of Spirits that sounds very similar. Of course, there are also other tracks from going way back into classical music repertoire that are very similar as well, that have that descending chromatic line. That's, pretty much the hallmark of Stairway to Heaven. But a new appeals court has thrown out the old ruling that said that they were not liable for any damages because the song was not plagiarism. Well, this new court has overruled that verdict, and they are saying now that it is a violation of Spirit's copyright. So, can you imagine how much money Led Zeppelin is going to have to pony up if this holds? I don't know how much more appeals they have, but this is from the U.S. Appeals Court. So, I mean, this isn't the Supreme Court, but it is an appeals court somewhere. I'm not sure exactly where. But yeah, man, this could cost them a pretty penny. And if they've already spent the money, I don't know. There's not a debtor's prison. So they may have to liquidate a lot of their assets. I don't know. Or go back out on tour. Maybe this will be the thing that finally sends them over the edge and makes them tour together again. As a matter of fact, right now I'm going to make the prediction. Led Zeppelin will be touring within the next year and a half. This was an interesting article. It's dated October 1st of this year, but this is actually a really old story. This is about a guy who has quadriplegia. He jumped in a pool and hurt his head, and he's paralyzed from the shoulders down. He can move his shoulders, but he can't move his arms. His arms from a certain point down anyway. He's got a communication problem between his brain and his hand, so he can't really do anything with his hand. But there's a video here that shows him playing Guitar Hero. And it was kind of interesting to me because, and he's also doing some other things. He's like picking up cups and moving them around and stuff. And what they're doing is they're bypassing the signals that usually go from his brain down to your hand through your arm, and they're actually coming out of the brain and going through like a machine, a processor that is in turn attached to his arm, his forearm, and is moving his forearm, is sending signals. So pretty interesting, but pretty freaky when you think about it. Because, I mean, if you can pinpoint all the places in the brain that are responsible for moving all of the various parts of your body, there may become a point where we could actually just be like Krang from Ninja Turtles.
You may feel some disorientation when you revive in your new body. It's alive.
Basically we'd just be a head inside of a body, or actually we could be a disembodied head in a jar somewhere.
What do you think?
I think you're very beautiful.
That's just thinking and dreaming these thoughts, and we have an avatar walking around. Or maybe that's already happening. Maybe that's already what's going on. Maybe we are somewhere else, and we're just kind of looking out of this body onto the world, and it's just like a window of perception onto the world. And then I saw this guy.
Johnny's implant allows for more strength and mobility, but maybe more impressive is he can control the arm with his thoughts.
Ready? Let's pronate. Supinate. Go.
We are actually witnessing something that has never been done before, is Johnny really controlling that limb simply by thinking about it with normal intuitive thought.
So this guy is actually doing exactly what I said. He is actually transmitting his thoughts through the air, via radio signals to a processor. So they've basically gotten rid of the wires, and they've miniaturized the processing, and they've put it into an arm so he can actually think thoughts and make the arm move. I mean, is that not what I was just talking about? I mean, all you got to do now is just build the rest of the body, build the rest of the robot, and then this guy can stay at home, and all he has to do is just think, okay, you go to work, you know, or you go play that show. You know, he could choose to be there or not be there. He could put it on autopilot, or he can be, you know, in full control of it. Maybe he can actually come back later and just relive it secondhand. You know, he can like plug in and like replay the video as if he was there. We reached next level here. This is Brave New World shit.
Let's bring Otis Rush on with a round of applause.
On a sad note, we lost a couple of guitarists over the past couple weeks. We lost the great blues guitarist from Chicago, Otis Rush. He was born in 1934 and just died this past week. Condolences to his family. His biggest hit was from the late 50s called I Can't Quit You Baby.
Well, I gotta put you down for a while.
Also, within the past week or so, we've lost the founding member of Jefferson Airplane and a member of Jefferson Starship and just Starship, Marty Balin. He is partly responsible for giving us what is deemed by some to be the worst, most annoying song of all time. I happen to completely disagree. I think this song is a work of absolute genius and deserves to be up there in the pantheon of greatness. I think it's right up there, actually, probably with White Rabbit, at the pinnacle of their artistic output. But no, all joking aside, Balin was 76 years old, and our condolences to his family as well. Jefferson Airplane also lost another of their guitar players only a couple of years back, Paul Kantner, who died at 74 in 2016. And finally, the bit of news I know all of you have been waiting with bated breath over. The Pussy Melter is finally beginning to ship. And here's the email that I received about this. It says, hello again, friends, and welcome to those of you who ordered your pedal in the last week. We are excited to let you know that the pedal is now sold out. It's sold out, so no more Pussy Melters. Even if you try to place an order right now, you will not be able to get one of these coveted pedals. At the end of this video, I will put up my PayPal address if you want to send a $5 or more tip. Every $5 will get you a chance at winning the Pussy Melter that I'm going to demo on this channel as soon as mine arrives, and we'll be giving that sucker away to one of the lucky tipsters. So that will conclude the news. Let's open some viewer mail. Before we get into viewer mail, I just wanted to remind everybody over on Channel 2, I have a lot of other content, including this VHS video that I just digitized. This is a Woody Guthrie, very rare documentary from the 1980s. If you're into Woody Guthrie or folk music at all, I highly encourage you to go over to Guitologist Channel 2 and check this out if you haven't already. First box we're going to open is this one. No idea what it is, but it comes to me from Mike in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Hopefully it's not anthrax or ricin. Okay, what do we have? What is this? This is a Voodoo Labs amp selector. Okay, yeah, that's pretty cool. Oh, this is an old school foot switch. This probably came, what, from a Guilds or a Gretsch amp or something like that, or an Ampeg rather. This might be an old Ampeg. I guess it could also be Dan Electro. I'm thinking Ampeg though. And then here's the manual for the Voodoo Labs amp selector. So let's see. What does he say here? Dear Guitologist, this is donated in memory of Ken Harris, also known as Kino Palomino of the Johnny Apollo and the Saturn VII Band. Thanks, Brad. Hope this is of some value to your channel. Sincerely, Mike. Mike, that's so cool, man. I hope Ken Harris, aka Kino Palomino, wherever he is, has got his 70 virgins. It sounds like he has passed away, so I'm sure you'll see him again in the great beyond, man. Just have faith. Let's see, what's this? This is interesting. Oh, it's a B&J, so it's a Bugles and Jacobson or whatever that would. Oh gosh, I know what it is. I mean, it's from the 30s or 40s. That's an old one. That sucker's old. B&J Serenader, suitcase model, amplifier, probably Valco. No, I would say that probably is, I don't know. Maybe it is, I doubt it though. I'd have to see the chassis to really know. There's no picture of the chassis there. So what do we have here? I acquired an amp just like this. I could not find any documentation. My question is, have you ever come across one of those? Does it have any value? Do you have any documentation? I don't have any documentation, I can tell you that right off the bat, because I've never seen one before. But I can tell you, B&J is, gosh, what is the name of that company? Bugleson and Jacobson? No. I'll put it up on the screen. You'll see what it is. But that was a distributor. B&J was a distributor, I believe, over on the East Coast. And oh, what else did they distribute? They imported stuff a lot. I know they imported a lot of stuff from like Germany, I think, and other European countries for distribution in the U.S. at one time. And this, you know, violins too, things like this. You know, back in the catalog era, you know, they had a lot of stuff. 30s and 40s was kind of their heyday, I believe. Well, 20s, 30s, and 40s. I don't, you know, obviously they didn't do amplifiers as early as the 20s, but this looks to me like it is probably, just based on the graphics and the style of knob. You see that knob right there? That knob, that screams 40s to me. That is a Bakelite knob. And that style right there is very 1940s. That's very like I'm talking like 1945, 46, 47, kind of in that range. You'll see a lot of radios and amplifiers and things with that exact sort of style of knob. But man, yeah, I would say that this thing, I'm not sure who made it without seeing the amplifier chassis. Opening it up would probably tell me a lot more information than just looking at the outside of it. The print is my attempt to put on paper what I saw under the chassis. Okay. Here is the schematic that he has provided. So if anyone knows anything about this amplifier, please comment down in the comment section. I will put a little heart beside your comment so it should shoot up to the top. So hopefully Mike will be able to see it, and you'll be able to give him some information on his amplifier. And thanks again, Mike. I really appreciate all of this. We may look at this thing in another video, maybe perhaps over on channel 2. This comes from a company called Wrist Grips. Let's check this out. They contacted me the other day and said they had this product they would like me to take a look at and possibly demonstrate. It's supposed to be something you can wear while you're playing the guitar, which will prevent you from developing carpal tunnel, and also prevent your existing carpal tunnel or other, you know, I guess wrist or joint problems from flaring up. And they're called Wrist Grips. I would say this is cotton, probably, material, not nylon. We also have nice little Wrist Grips logo there. They're going to go like this, maybe, and then this through here. I'm just seeing if I can do this without reading instructions. If you can do it without reading instructions, then okay, that's cool. I'm not sure what this bit of Velcro would be for. I guess if you had really tiny hands, maybe it would go all the way over there. I'm not sure. Maybe I should just read the instructions, eh? Okay. Lay the wrist grip on top of your wrist with the buckle resting on the outside pinky side of your wrist. So it would be over here. Yeah, pretty much. That was close. That was close. Pinky side of your wrist. Alright. Okay. Yeah, it definitely is compressing the wrist. I mean, it's keeping it from moving quite a bit. I have found similar products. I've tried some things before, like for my carpal tunnel. You guys know about my carpal tunnel because I talk about it whenever I talk about my finger picking, because that's the reason I finger pick a lot, because I'm trying to do things as ergonomically as possible. And a lot of downstrokes and stuff like that, like if I tried to play James Hetfield style stuff, I mean, after about 5 minutes of that or less, you know, I would be just aching. Can't play that stuff anymore, man. I could when I was young, but it's just kind of out the window now. I really don't have a problem on this. I mean, I do have carpal tunnel in this arm, but I don't have a problem with it hurting when I play guitar. This one does, though. This is my picking hand. I'm kind of curious, though. Let's get a guitar and see if I can do some downstrokes. I never could play that with all downstrokes. I suck at that. So that should tell you something anyway about my technique on picking. Well, first of all, I would not need two because this is the only hand that's really affected. And this hand is actually causing me problems. So I would not need two of them. But this one does seem to be helping with keeping my wrist in a straight, in a kind of a locked position. I'm actually trying to break myself of some very old habits that I've developed, you know, along the way, because you know, a lot of those little runs that I'm doing and stuff, I'm not picking every single note. I'm not doing like a Paul Gilbert or something there. So, you know, I would probably want to practice a lot with something like this on to try to sort of renegotiate the way that I have my muscle memory, you know, essentially. So I'd want to do some exercises to try to build that back up and to reteach myself how to pick, I guess, properly. See? Because I do a lot of legato stuff. Like, it's kind of left a little bit of a mark there. Yeah, I think what I would say about this is this might be useful for teaching you how to keep your wrist straight while picking. I think if you wore this while you were practicing, at least, that you would probably develop a better picking technique that you could then carry forward into just playing without it. So yeah, anyway, yeah, thanks for sending those along. Appreciate that. They're called wrist grips. You can go to www.wrist-grips.com. Okay, next up in viewer mail. This is from Andrew in Sutton, West Virginia. Oh, cool. Let's see. Got some stickers and okay. The Flatwoods Monster. What's this all about? What is this all about? I've got a few stickers here, so that'd be cool. Oh, some cool pics. That's awesome. The Flatwoods Monster Museum. Oh, those are in my size too. Cool. Thank you. What is this? 304. Is that your area code, perhaps? The Flatwoods Monster was a creature first sighted on September 12th, 1952. The creature, thought by many to be an alien, was seen in the hills of Flatwoods, West Virginia, just after sun. Was this on an episode of the X-Files? Damn it, Scully. And one thing I will say about West Virginia, man, that is some of the most beautiful country you can possibly visit. There's a reason it's immortalized in a John Denver song. Let's just leave it at that. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this part of Shitpost Friday, but there's more over on Guitologist Channel 2. If you click in the link down in the description, it will take you over there where you can see the Ask an Amp text segment and the ending of Shitpost Friday. So please go over there and join me for the rest of it. Also, if you want to contribute to the Pussy Melter Fund, here is my email address for that. And for now, y'all take care.